Hey friends, welcome into another edition of 4 Minutes on Friday. Hopefully we're back on a regular schedule of videos released every Friday after missing a couple weeks the past few. Wanted to talk today about a book that has been influential for me in the places that I'm leading, but also helpful for me and influential for me in just my general daily life, the places that I'm not leading, in my own home life, my relationship with others. It is a book called Failure of Nerve. It's written by Edwin Friedman, and really Friedman passed away before this book actually got published. I don't know if it was his family or someone else put together a synopsis, and I'll put a link in the description below if you're interested in such things. I would really encourage you, if you are a leader in any capacity whatsoever, if you're leading a team of people, you really ought to check this out if you're not already aware of it. Very, very helpful. Talks a lot about being a non-anxious presence. Talks about being self-differentiated. Those kind of things are in, and it's broken down into, I think, 7 or 8 segments that are easily digestible. I've done this. I've taken our team through this in the church that I co-pastor, and it's just very, very helpful. One thing that I wanted to kind of mention on this today is he talks a lot about being self-differentiated. And this is really the practice of knowing who you are, and especially if you are leading a group of people, understanding the direction that you feel like you need to take. For me, as a local pastor and a leader of the homeless shelter that we lead together, having a clear vision of what the future looks like and the direction we need to go is extraordinarily important for both of those settings. But this is true of you as an individual, because one of the things that happens, and Friedman is kind of the father of the family systems theory, and so a lot of this relates not just to organizations, but to families as well. And he talks about not being an anxious presence, or being a non-anxious presence in all of those relationships, family and organizationally. Being self-differentiated is a way of being a non-anxious presence in relationships and in conversations that are difficult. And the truth is that we all have conversations that are difficult. This is not just as we know, it's not just the domain of organizational leaders. This is everybody. Any relationship that you're in has had difficult conversations. And being self-differentiated and a non-anxious presence in those situations is extraordinarily important. One of the keys that he identifies to being self-differentiated and a non-anxious presence is simply this: resisting the urge to try and argue someone into your position. So very, very plainly, simply put, if you are having a conversation with another person and your position or your camp, and I hate to even use that kind of language, but your position is in direct opposite or opposition to the person that you're talking with, resist the urge to try and argue them and badger them and pound them into coming over to your side. What Friedman identifies is that all that does is ramp up the anxiety. And I don't know about you, but I have had all the anxiety that I care to ever have over the last 18 months, 2 years. I don't need any more of that. And so to approach those kinds of difficult situations, those conversations, even those arguments from a non-anxious presence position, to be self-differentiated. This is who I am. This is what I believe. This is the direction I know we need to go. And I understand that you're arguing something that is different than that. But I'm not going to engage in the anxiety. It's ironic that I record this today because last night there was a meeting related to the homeless shelter that I helped run. And there were some anxious moments in there. And my partner Jake and I in running the homeless shelter, we had to remain a non-anxious presence and not meet the level of anxiety and tension that was being brought by some of the conversation. It is not an easy thing to do. I don't sit here as someone who's mastered this. I don't know if this is ever something that you fully master. But can it be something that we incrementally get better at? I think so. I think Friedman's the summary of his book is extraordinary. You ought to take it. It is a short read. It's probably 15-20 minutes if you really take your time. All right. Again, we're over our time. This probably needs to be more like 5 minutes on Friday. So we'll consider maybe a name change. But until then, see you next week.